Tuesday night, April 5th, 2016. Therefore, it is the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group. And I'm Rick Crammond, and maybe I'll just show my face briefly here as we're about to start. Oh yeah, I need to start recording actually on our other recordomatic here. Record to the cloud. And okay, we got John, you're recording too, good. So let's gives us a copy there. At least anybody else can record later if they need to. And okay, let me briefly start my video before we look at Lee Coates's. Hi, this is me, and oh, there's Guy over there. And behind Guy, you see a whole table full of coils being manufactured over the last couple of days, few days actually. And yeah, a bunch of work going on here at the way far west Canada workshop. Anyway, might have more on that later. Now let's go back to, we're going to start today with Lee Coates, and let's spotlight his video. Now he's anxious to tell us some things here. So I'm going to just phase out of my video and allow him to describe what this contraption is he has in his hand. First of all, with all these, it looks like something out of maybe Star Trek or beyond. And okay, so go ahead, what's happening?
Well, on Saturday I had an accident with the circular saw, and I skimmed the skin off the top of my thumb here.
Oh my goodness.
So I wanted to make a device that would alleviate the pain, stop it from getting infected, and promote the skin to grow back faster. Because there's about a 1 inch by 1 inch square of skin on top of my thumb here that got taken off. Luckily, I didn't hit any tendons or anything. So I decided to sort of work on the pain pen idea. Only I got a ring of 9 little short 2-inch nano-coated wires, and was a 10th one in the center there, which is higher up. But I'll just take it apart here so we can see it better. It actually slides in and off on my thumb. But what I'd made it out of is a milk jug with a 4-liter milk jug with a cap, and then on the bottom side, I pushed in another cap, hot glued it in, and put the nano-coated pins through and hot glued them on the bottom so they wouldn't make contact with me. And after I got it made, I was thinking, in a disaster situation or emergency situation, anybody could make one of these, because there's going to be lots of plastic bottles kicking around probably, and easy to come across some copper wire probably, and a bit of fire or ash could nano-coat them. So you don't need any GANTs or anything. You could make these up in a remote disasters type area. Results so far, when I put it on my finger, my finger warms up, so I feel the plasma energy there. And when the nurse changed the dressing there yesterday, there was no infection or anything like that. It's progressing normally according to the nurse as far as growing skin back. So I was just looking for other people's comments. I think maybe I've got too many wires here. Maybe I should go through 6 of them or something, or what else could I do?
Did you the big question I have is, did you show the nurse this?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay. Pretty typical.
Just wondering if you walked in with that first, just to remove that off your thumb before the dressing. That'd be quite incredible. I was
hoping for some great results, and then I'd show her what I've done.
Right, all completely healed or something. Okay, so, well, what are some comments about this? How could we like help Lee make it more effective so it does heal even faster and more efficiently and so on. Let's
Yeah,
say that it
A
helps with
little tiny
pain
bag of
now.
GANs, CO2 and CH3 GANs that you can put on the other side of your thumb, so that that's a strong source. It's going to draw from that source of GANs up through your thumb and into the pins.
okay, so I could put inside here. I could put a little plastic bag of Gans.
Yeah, what
Yep.
you need is the new Canadian product, the stick-on GANS pad. Yeah, it's like a double-sided stick thing. You just peel the thing off and stick a little CO2 pad, a mini CO2 pad on there where you need to. And then that would draw from the, like exactly like John's saying, from the pins. And you want it disposable stick-on pad. You don't want something permanent because that it'll get contaminated one way or another. And it's only good for one person with that pad anyway. You want to remove it, get rid of it once it's contaminated. So it seems to be a good idea. I think we should
Yeah, there should
market
be
it.
some plastic bag shipping label holders that would work good for
Yeah,
that.
that's an idea. A little mini one for return
Yeah.
addresses or something.
Ganzoplast.
Ganzoplast. There you go. Ganzoplast.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I can see with that is you've got a very, very weak system with just the pins.
Yeah, well, I wanted to cover like the 1 inch by 1 inch area, so that's why I made these short pins, and so it's sort of a weak field coming from each pin, but over a broad area. That was my thinking.
Yeah, another thing that's possible, it's a little more complex, but that would be to put two coils around that. So
Around
you
each
have a
pin, you mean,
magnetic and
right,
a
John?
gravitational
Oops.
bias fields that are being picked up by that coil. That would be another way to get a little bit more blast of plasma.
You're saying
Yeah, I
around
almost
each
feel
pin,
like it's
John?
too much blast already.
Mm.
Because I wear it for about 4 hours, and I feel like I got to take it off, and then I put it back on a few hours later, kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's what I was wondering, whether maybe I've got too many pins here. Maybe I don't need this
Well,
many.
you definitely have a lot of copper and a lot of plastic sitting over your thumb that would probably rather have air circulating than that in a sense. But
Well,
if you had a
actually,
pad underneath,
there is an air gap here about a 1/4 inch before it
right.
hits before the Band-Aid.
What if it had a GANS pad on that side? John, what do you think of that idea? Or would that not be appropriate?
It would probably work, but I'm thinking about how the plasma is going to interact with all those pins. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
have a massive field above that, and not quite so big a field below it. That's why I was thinking of having the GANs on the other side of the thumb, so that the plasma had to go through the thumb to get to the pins.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Another option is, like, there's the two caps here. There's actually a compartment in between where the pins go through, which
oh
could
wow,
be against,
Yeah.
sure.
but I
Yeah,
wasn't
if the
sure
GANs
whether
is
that
if the
would work.
GANs is in direct contact with the pins, that would change the whole picture again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be in direct contact if it was in the caps.
Yeah.
And what about putting a sink on this system in terms of like a saltwater jar sink and some kind of nano-coated wire going to it from one side
Well,
or another of this contraption? Would that work?
yeah, well, he's not drawing energy out of the system. He's wanting to put energy back in.
Yeah, well, basically, I want to recreate Mr. Keshe's a thumb growing or finger growing back device. Only I'm just growing back the skin part. But I've never
Right.
seen a blueprint for his device. So
Well, he talks about polarity at the end in terms of creating the fields, um, to entice the growth and so on. Um, I think it is the gravitational, that would be the field that you'd want to enhance toward
hmm
the tip
Yeah,
of.
for growing a limb back or a toe or a finger, yeah, you'd want a strong gravitational to draw that energy from the body through the wounded system through the energy body that's still going to be there, and
So
allow the body to recognize that the matter state's missing.
Yeah,
so
so
if
to
it
grow
was a
skin back, that's what I want. I want gravitational. So just a straight pin, is that gravitational, or do I got to start putting some coils on this to?
From the tests that Vivek and I have been doing lately, and he specifically, an odd number of coils is going to give you a gravitational bias.
So if I put one wrap around the pins, that would
Well,
that would
then the coil's going to be magnetical. The pin's going to be gravitational. You need 3 coils and a pin,
3 coils and a pin. Okay.
or 5 coils and a pin. That's going to be really strong.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. Well, in that case, I don't need all these pins. Probably.
Yeah. One thing we've noticed is the emission pattern. If you have your pin reasonably close to the end of the coil, the end of the pin reasonably close to the end of the coil, I think within about a half an inch, like 3/8 to a half an inch, then it sort of sprays like a
Mhm.
nozzle. If it's a long pin, it's a laser beam.
Okay, so I need a
Um,
coil that's close to the end of the pin, and three coils on it, maybe.
Yeah, and well, that's what Vivek has been experimenting with, and he's been having some fantastic results with the Reiki or the Qigong practitioners in Singapore.
Okay.
But I like your idea. I think it's a good idea, and the simple fact that you're feeling the energy is a definite bonus. I do think we need to add a specific plasma energy in there for the skin growth, and that so skin would be a soft tissue, so that would be copper oxide, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And how's it working on the pain?
No pain at all.
Yeah, perfect. I did
And,
sort of the same thing. I didn't bite myself with a table saw, but I bit myself with a hammer. I was pulling nails out of some old wood. I took a wall down in the back of my house and cut the pad of my thumb on my left hand, right on the palm of my hand where the fleshy part of your thumb is, and it was actually quite deep. And I just grabbed onto my bottle of CO2 GANs and held onto it for about 5 minutes, and it sealed right up, and it's just about gone now. And that was just yesterday.
hey, that's quick.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for your input.
Yeah. On to the flight reactor.
Guy says, how about using crystals? So that was a question there.
Or a statement, just a statement like that. Maybe you can use crystals, as maybe an addition. I don't know. Just throw that in the air.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the silicon oxide or silicon dioxide for healing devices. I don't know. It just doesn't ring.
What about quartz crystals and that sort of thing traditionally used for healing?
Yeah, they use them for healing wand points in China quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right.
It might be very good to focus the energy somehow. If you get the right shape at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Possibly.
I got a couple of big crystals here and some others on order from China. Like I got one great big one there, but
That's a big one to wear, yeah.
Nice.
but it's
Oh,
not the kind I want strapped to my finger.
yeah, be very careful of the crystals you get from China. Most of them are glass. I bought 6 nice big ones that I thought I was getting a really good deal, and when I got them here, I did the scratch test, and they turned out to be just glass.
Yeah, I can see oh, I forget what the word is, but when you order them, they're either natural crystals or there's a word for the ones that they make.
Cultured.
Cultured. Yeah, well, there's another word, but so I've been going after the natural ones, and you can see the imperfections in the middle of them. The little white lines and stuff. So
Oh, okay.
pretty sure they're natural.
Yeah, well, if it scratches glass, it's quartz. If it doesn't, it's not.
Okay. Anyway, I've been building this Starship reactor, and can't feel any fields around it, so I really suspect whether my plasma batteries are putting out any plasma for one
This
thing.
is totally isolated from the grid then, correct?
This one is, yes.
Okay.
I actually haven't tried to wire this one from the grid because well, I suppose I could, but put all these different coils and stuff in series or something and put it on the grid. Haven't
You
tried
might
it.
be able to use your little thumb thing as a plasma detector, because the pins in that are gonna, if there's any free plasma fields around that, they're gonna eat those up and squirt them into your thumb. You should be able to feel them with that.
I never tried that, but okay. So
It's just a thought. Just a thought.
You wanted to
yeah,
say
well,
something?
that's how to amplify the field so you can feel it better. So anyway, I've been
More batteries?
yeah, that's another option. Like each of these reactors down below, they just got the one battery on them on the side here. So
Let's have a better look at that setup. That's your individual module, like, eh?
yeah, that's the Starship module, the three on the bottom, one on top.
Okay, just turn it sideways. And how do you hold the coil in there? Is that silicone in?
Hot. I got the acrylic plastic here,
Yeah.
and with some holes drilled in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then I put the coils through the hole and wire them up, and
Oh, I see. You put
then
the
I put some
coil
hot
through
glue
the.
on the to just hold them in place.
You put the coil through the hole, then wired it up so that
That's right.
you were able to feed it through the hole.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very nice.
Simple that way. It's just
And I
more
got the
permanent.
little plastic ball in the center with three kinds of GANs and hydrogen gas in it.
Yeah. Huh.
And
Did you use the same GANs mix for the inner coil and the outer coil?
these coils I got first. They started with a layer of copper oxide GANs. They were dipped in copper oxide. Then they were dipped in CO2 zinc GANs, and then they were zipped in the CHO2.
Okay, because something that's been coming up lately, something Armin said, is you want a heavier GANs bias on that inside coil.
Okay, so both the inside gravitational and magnetical are both GANs both the same way here.
Okay.
And
that may be why you're not getting a really strong field out of it.
yeah. And I also saw another video since I GANs these where Mr. Keshe was showing how he waters his GANs down quite a bit, and I've been dipping them in quite thick GANs, so maybe I've got too much GANs on my coils. I don't know.
Yeah, less is more, definitely. That does look pretty thick.
Yeah. And then, of course, the thick stuff starts falling off, and then you start wondering, should I spray it with some glue to hold it on or what?
Well, so far, the people that have been using the 20% are having really good results.
Okay.
And it comes out as just a very, very thin veneer.
Okay. So I got on top here, I got one of these battery banks with sets of 4 in parallel, and then the 4 sets are tied in series, and that's running on the magnetic gravitational coils in here. And then I got one plasma battery on these pine cone coils, one battery on the inner loop and one on the outer loop. And I've got all these wires come into these Armin connectors here, so I can plug them and unplug them and wire them in different configurations if I want to. This coil over here is not connected right now. That was something from back in September where Mr. Keshe was saying something about putting an affinity loop into a coil with a crystal in the center and have another crystal in there for control or something. But right now it's not connected, and I haven't till I get some power going in this thing. I won't play with it. But that was the idea there. So
yeah. Have you seen Armin's new connection scheme?
No.
He takes the ends of the wires of his coils that need to be connected together, and he wraps them around a 1/16 mandrel. So it's a really tight coil. And then he simply slides the mating wire through that coil and then wraps the end over. And this is the new MagGrav design, and he's getting really nice results out of that.
Okay, so instead of poking the wires in both ends, you have the coil on the one wire and you poke the other one through and put a loop on it.
Right, that's what he's been doing down in California, and I think that's the new MagGrav design that's going to be adopted shortly.
I see. Which side's the positive and negative on it with the coil? The coil part would be like, call it the female part, would be the positive going to the male negative inside. Would that be the way it goes?
I'd have to go back and look at that recording again and see more clearly. He said he was going to make up drawings and get them released in the next couple of weeks. So we should have more detail on that very
Okay.
shortly.
I think it is a one-way connection that way. It's made to flow the plasma one way. Or
Well, it would make sense that the source would be the coil and the destination would be the straight pin through the center.
destination
Okay.
being ground or sink.
So the coil would
Is
be
that
the
right?
positive end of the lead.
Actually, I think negative is. I think the plasma flows negative to positive.
Okay.
Let me think. Actually, well, it goes both directions at the same time, which is kind of weird. It's a little hard to wrap my head around.
Hmm.
But I'm just thinking about the way the maggrav is wired originally, and the so-called negative, the gravitational goes to your wall, and the magnetical goes out to the load.
Yeah. So it's coming in on the negative and going out on the positive.
Well, your primary plasma output is going back into your wall, so it's
Okay.
tending to come out of the negative.
Yeah. Yeah. Except that on the load side, you're also supplying your load with plasma energy, so that's going out of the positive.
Yeah, I understand that, but
Yeah.
the load side is the minimal plasma energy. The maximal plasma energy is on the grid side.
Okay.
Okay. So
I was
you have some more things there.
well. I
Lee?
was playing around with
What you
these little
got?
cone connectors like they were doing on the health unit there in Germany or whatever. It's just it takes like a quarter turn to connect them, and then they're really solid. Takes about 2 feet of wire to do the cone though, and but all I did was grind a taper onto a piece of all thread and then wrap the wire around. So
That's
they're
a
real
good
easy to
idea.
make. But I think you'd have to have a flexible wire on the ones you're going to twist on to make them work right. If it was just a solid little jumper wire, you might have a hard time getting them twisted in the right spot. So
Yeah, that brings up the question: is when you do put the pressure on it, is that going to bite into your nano coating?
Yeah.
it sounded like they said it was going to do that, and that every once in a while they would paint them with caustic to re-nanocoat them or something.
Okay.
I think that's what he said in one of his talks.
Maybe you
So-
learn to turn it in a certain gentle way, so it's just a certain torque and not more than that. As you.
Yeah, depending of the quality of your nano coating, the thickness of it, and the gentleness of the way you apply them together, I think those factors all really are.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you wouldn't destroy the nano coating around the whole wire. You just on the contact places. So
Yeah, so gentle
maybe
touch
maybe
might be
working.
enough there. This part
So
of
anyway,
the new telephone operator of the future, plugging in all these wires into their sockets. It's very much like the old time telephone networks.
yeah. So anyway, they're surprisingly easy to make, is what I found out. But
That's a great idea with the ready rod because you have the taper on the threads already, and it sort of bites into the.
yeah, you can start winding on the thread
Yeah.
part, and
Yeah,
then it can go to the
exactly.
tip. Or
Yeah, just make sure you got 16 TPI thread rod.
Yeah.
If your threads don't match the wire diameter, it's going to make a real mess.
yeah, the coarse thread is on a 3/8 rod isn't bad for the 14 gauge wire. It seems to work.
Yeah, well, that's 18. That's pretty close. As long as you're not going more than half an inch or so, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. But
Yeah.
I think 7/16. No, I don't think there is a 16 thread rod actually. I'd have to look in my book.
I haven't seen one.
I think there's a.
Anyway, that's it for me tonight, I think.
Been great, thank you, Lee. That's very entertaining and interesting.
Impressive too.
Impressive, Guy says. Yes, indeed. All right, so the other volunteers, you, and you. Robert, do you have anything you want to present tonight? Or how about Armada? I bet you have something interesting. Libby?
I got nothing yet.
Okay. Well, thanks for that report.
I've been trying to
That
make
fills in
miniature.
at least 10 seconds. Pardon me, Libby?
I've been trying to make. My grandson's birthday is April 15th,
Okay.
and so I'm gonna just show you what I've been making. But
Oh,
it's
great.
I'm calling him a space guy. See if I
How
can
old
do.
is he now?
He'll be 3.
Wow.
So just playing with copper coils.
Just let me get you spotlighted there. And,
Okay.
okay, there we go.
All right, nano-coated voodoo dolls.
Well, yeah, kind of, but I want to
Nano-coated voodoo
learn about
dolls.
space, and so I've been trying to mail these things, eh? Keshe was talking about. So that was my second attempt. But this is 16 feet, and that's just the body without the head. This was 12 feet, and I had to do smaller, so it's like a
Oh, you
lot of
like that.
wire. But I wanted to ask you guys, what if I coated it with CO2?
Well, you want to have some play friends?
I want him to have a lot of play friends, yeah. It's just an idea.
What would
And
the intent be when you? What do you think you would create that way?
what would I create this way? A peace and love in him and all around him.
Right. Well,
And playful characters.
that's
I just want him to get used to playing with copper. But
sure. Well,
as a
that's two good intents right there. So if you, that's it. Sounds like a good combination.
and inside this guy's head is an amethyst crystal.
Mm-hmm. What's
But
amethyst known for? I forget now exactly.
Transformations.
Okay.
So it's anyway, it's a crystal I've had for a long time, and I'm trying to move as much stuff as I still have onwards, and especially to my grandchildren. It's just what I'm working on. And also, I have a question. You don't need to look at me, and I sure don't need to look at me. Um, um,
Well, I mean, it's good to have something up actually, just
okay,
as a
well,
reminder
okay.
on the screen, so that otherwise it records on the Zoom as a blank, and that's people get upset about that. They don't like to
Okay.
see a void in their life. It's
I can find a picture. I can
it's an
share one of my good
existential
pictures
thing.
if you want.
Sure, if you got something to show, that'd be just great to have something to share there while you speak.
Okay, well, my question has to do with, oh God, go get this together. I wasn't planning on jumping in, but since there's a few of us, if somebody else wants to jump in, I can come back after I picked up my pictures. But anybody else have something they want to contribute? Okay, I'll get out of here and
See,
try and
what do
find
we have?
pictures here. Sorry, I
Does yours
really
have
was just.
anything, Guy, you want to show?
Not really.
Not right now.
Not really ready yet.
Not ready. Okay. It's
Oh,
on
it's
the
in nano
edge.
coating. Yeah, it's on the edge. Maybe,
Oh, I'll just put up one of my test tubes because I have been having so much fun. Let's see. What's that one? Oh,
Test
yeah,
tubes. They're on our mind today, actually, too.
test tubes.
Yeah, we were comparing test tubes. I've got a couple from Princess Auto, strangely enough.
Oh,
And
well, that's
do
actually a
you see
peanut
them
butter.
here, Guy?
But
You saw these, right?
Yeah.
So they would they fit in your case? No, I meant inside.
It's amazing. They fit in the shade.
Inside the case itself.
Oh yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, Rick, I found a guy here locally who's making me some wooden cases for the health pens. They're going to look like big fat ballpoint pens, but a nice hardwood, probably a maple or an ash, a case for my pens.
Oh yeah. Guy has a little zip bag with that'll work good once he has it worked out. I'll probably show it another time when everything's. You want to show it now? Or
I can actually
you want to show it later when
really.
you have it all completed?
Yeah, maybe it's not really completed, but
Yeah,
right
it's
now
what-
I'm walking with half things that are halfway done, and I'm working on some little design there. I finally found a way of putting a triple coil into those little test tube, and so I got a different way of connecting the center. Maybe I can show the center pin idea.
Sure. Yeah.
Libby, that is gorgeous.
But this,
Yes, that's fabulous.
What do we have here?
I don't know. But remember
Yeah.
last week I showed you that crystal? Well, I felt so bad that I created a silica cell. I thought, well, I'll free this and put it in a planter and see what can happen. Interestingly, what did seem to appear was out of nowhere, because we still have winter here and we don't have mosquitoes yet. There's a big mosquito in my kitchen. But anyways, I took the crystal out of that and I'm using it in another project as my lead crystal. I figure it's a growth something. It's a grow. But what's curious to me here is also the I realized this was the part of a clothesline, this blackish thing that started putting CH3 out. So I took
Clothesline,
that
like
out.
a steel clothesline thing or something.
You know, the pin inside a clothesline that keeps it
Right.
tight.
Yeah.
So that had fallen out on one of mine, so I thought I'd stick that in because I thought it was zinc, and of course it turned right into iron pretty quickly, and created quite a lot of carbon CH3.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm wondering, this was the silver pin I'd put in there with a
Silver
coil.
pin. Now, you mean, was it real silver or was it
Yeah, it
zinc?
was real silver. I used to make silver jewelry, so
Uh-huh.
that's something I still have little bits of.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm curious.
So
And
this is, to be clear, this is steel wire wrapped around that silver pin,
that
or
that's
only on the
steel,
bottom? That's steel.
copper.
Oh,
This is
okay. Got
copper.
it.
Like it's actually a one I made when Renan was making really incredible pens early. Early, he made one kind of with like a coil around the top.
Mm-hmm.
This was early, and I had made one and I had nano coated it in nature,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided, well, let's see what happens if I put this and this and
Okay.
just go
Yeah. So nano-coated copper, silver middle, and steel
at the bottom.
at the bottom. And this is in a saltwater solution, correct?
Yep.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
very interesting how the precipitate is only on the silver. It's not like it's a crystal growing from the salt, because it would be
Yeah.
equal on all of the things in there. But there's only the precipitate growing on that silver. It's
I
very
know.
So you would
This
think
is
it
what I
would be
love about the test tube stuff, because you really get to, well, if I do this and I do that, I wish I had downloaded, I got lots more pictures, but I haven't uploaded them yet. But also you get, I believe this is, oh no, that's the silver wire. But what are the silver bubbles that form? I see if I can find more of them, but um,
Well, what's the difference between copper and iron?
no idea.
Rick, I don't know if you have a periodic
well,
table on your
copper
on
is
your.
what, 65 or something, I think we use, or 60, low 60s,
Oh, geez,
and
is that in it?
iron I think is 80 something. Let me have a look here.
20.
This is just what appeared when I washed or rinsed out, not even
Okay.
rinsed out. I took the contents of what that was that I showed last week, uh, and I put that right into the CO2, into my planter,
Mm.
and just and then diluted it a lot because I didn't really want to kill it. And then threw a couple of my favorite seeds in there just to see what that might give me later down the road. And that's what that little white quartz pebble looked like when I took it out.
So iron is basically 55.8 atomic mass.
56. Okay.
56, and copper we know, we should know, or whatever. I think it's
Copper 63.5.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Copper's higher than iron? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's a difference of what? 13? No, I don't remember the numbers now.
11.
11. 11.
Oh,
What would
sorry,
be
9. Difference of 9.
9? Okay, so that would be really low. That'd be like boron or yeah, it'd be only on the second line. Um,
See,
Sodium maybe?
let's get
Boron?
the.
Between them, that's what's growing there?
Well, that's what we're trying to, I'm looking at the interaction of the fields between the copper and the iron,
Yeah.
and then we need to get what that interaction is going to create and see if it has an affinity for the weight of the silver. We can kind of sort
Ah,
of get a range of what it might be.
yeah. See if I've got any more pictures there. It just was just producing. It was like, wow.
Because I just got a chat on Skype here from a friend who's she just got her first batch of GANs today. She's not able to make it, but she's doing some agricultural work with it. And I had another friend of mine who I taught to make GANs send her a small batch of stuff to play with, and she's okay. What can I do with it? I want to do it. You want to use it right now? And I just said, well, I don't know. Maybe you can come on the group if you want to get a newbie in here and get some really new questions coming in. We can bring her in.
Oh, definitely. That's always welcome. They're willing to bear with us. We
Oh,
will
this is
certainly
where I
bear with
put the
them.
stuff in there. Right, okay. Oops. Yeah, me trying to, oh, there. So, oh, these are fairly new pictures. I didn't remember that one being in there. So I decided to take that out. Now, I don't know if I've got records of that. Yeah, I took it out because I really didn't want to see, that's CH3, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm much more interested in gathering whatever is coming from the silver than, or in
So did it stop? It seemed like it stopped producing from the silver
no,
and
it's
copper
still
oxide.
producing actually.
Oh, okay. It's just not
I
fuzzy now.
I could go check right now because it's just on my dining room table, but
Well, that would be interesting to see if the fuzz built back up or if it's just.
okay, let me go
Can you
check.
explain again how it's made?
Yeah, all that is a copper wire. Well, let me go get the jar, and then I can tell you exactly what I did because I think I
Yeah.
made notes on it. I hope I did.
On the copper oxide on the top coil, and then
Oh, there she is.
silver. Looks like silver wire wrapped around. I thought it was a silver rod in the middle, but maybe it's silver wire wrapped around a copper oxide rod. Or
Okay. Okay, everybody. This is Corinne. I'm gonna get her to kill her camera because unless we're presenting, we usually don't have cameras on.
Sorry, I don't know how to do
Oh, no
that.
worries. No worries. You didn't know.
There, I found it.
Libby's still here trying to show here too. So let's
Oops,
have
that's
her.
not good with the light behind me, eh?
Maybe we'll just
Really?
let that happen a bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's kind of hard to see with the reflections and stuff.
shoot. Well, since sister came in there, I don't want to take up too much time, but so I can tell you what I'm seeing, which is it's grown back again, but the CH3 has remained, and this was made with seawater, CO2,
Okay.
and GANs of CO2.
Okay.
Oh,
Is the center pin, the straight pin that goes down the center, is that part of that loop of copper that's on the top?
yep,
Okay.
Okay.
and
So
that's
it's
what I'm
copper.
wondering if that made the difference.
So it's copper.
It's all copper.
With silver
And
wrapped
there's no
around it.
more iron in there except the CH3 that was created from,
Very interesting.
what could white, would white work at the back? Not really, black.
Well, the problem is we're getting a reflection from your computer screen that's
Oh, so you can't see that. Okay, well, I'll stop then. And
Well, thanks
welcome
for
the
the
question.
description, though. That's very helpful. That's interesting. It's
Cool phenomenon there.
I got lots of little phenomena going on here. I have more experiments, and you know, while your friend comes on, I'll download some of those pictures and maybe we can come back if nobody else has
Sure,
got.
that would be great. Thank you, Libby.
Okay, no problem. Oops, I don't want to do that. I was trying to mute. Oh, good morning, everybody. It's too
Here, let
early.
me, I'll cancel there. I'll cancel the spotlight video. That helps.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And do we have something else we can present here as a filler picture? Let's see.
Are you asking me or are you doing it?
I'm sort of putting that out to the universe at this moment, not you in
Okay.
particular.
Thank you.
Don't really have anything interesting.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I do here. Okay, well, let's put on the CO2 kit that I was looking at as a possible entrant. Okay, we'll just leave that up for fun.
Okay.
And, okay.
Well, I'd like to introduce everybody to Corinne. She's just getting started with this stuff. I've been talking to her about it, and she's intuitively getting it really, really well. But she wants to start working with plants, and so we've been concentrating on how to use the GANs with the plants. And I don't know if she wants to come in and tell her story or ask some questions or whatever. But here's your chance. If you get a whole bunch of different opinions here.
Sure. Do I turn the video on or?
You don't need to. We got a picture up.
Okay. I manage a little store that grows microgreens hydroponically. And we basically have about 16 machines, and most of them have an 80-gallon reservoir in the bottom. And I was thinking that if I put the CO2 GANs in there, it would improve the rate of growth and deal with a few other issues that we're having in the shop. And I was thinking of just basically dropping a vial of CO2 GANs in the reservoir and seeing what's happening, what would happen.
Yeah, we've had a number of people try that. There's a fairly large system down, I think it's in the States. It was just presented just last week. And they've got a 25,000 liter fish tank. It's actually an aquaponic system. And they put a little tiny bottle, about 2 ounces of GANs in one of their grow beds. And they noticed right away the plants grew better. They grew faster. The fish were happier. They were more active. They were healthier. A whole bunch of things changed. So I'm really sure that adding even just a little tiny bit, shouldn't, a little blob the size of a pea into your reservoirs is going to make a big difference.
But then there was that issue of retrograding the seeds to their ancient strains that I'm concerned about.
Yes. Yeah, I think we discussed that.
Cultivators.
Yeah, we discussed that before, and I think the solution we came up with was do the first 2 or 3 days, get them germinated with just plain old water, and then put them in the systems. But I understand that's not going to work for you. No,
because we sort of germinate at the top of each one of them. So there's different growth stages in each cultivator. But what I'm going to try to do is avoid germinating in one, and that's possible, and test the one cultivator compared to the rest of them.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, because I can prohibit germinating in one of them, and that would give me a comparison side by side, basically.
Yeah, it'd be kind of funny if your broccoli grew up as big blue flowers.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some splaining to do, Lucy, if this when this works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I don't think I'll be hearing complaints. I'll just tell them I planted them with love. But I just received my GANs today from a friend of John's, and sitting here with 3 little vials. I have a question though, John. 2 of them are filled with water like the one that you showed me in your video, but then the third one doesn't have any water at all. It just has like the plasma, and it's kind of like stuck to the jar. There's a little
color is it?
in there.
What color is it?
It's white. They're all white.
Okay. They're all white. They shouldn't be. One should be white. One should be greeny blue, like the blue bottle there, and one should be almost like a rusty red.
No, they're all. If you want, I'll turn my camera on. You could see.
Sure. See what Pat sent you. Oh, okay. Yeah, he just sent you CO2.
It's just
Yeah, that's just heavy paste.
yeah. So what do I do with that?
That's for your plants. I thought Pat was going to send you all three, but he just sent you the CO2. So you get lots and lots of CO2.
Yeah, yeah. I can grow lots of microgreens with this.
Well, you'll never use it up.
You know, maybe tossing tossing one of these in the reservoir.
Yeah, you could do that. That's a little, I think that's a bit overkill because you only need a little tiny bit.
Okay, so create a new vial with just a, like you said, a pin drop almost.
You know the little perfume tester vials, those little glass vials with the plastic pop-on cap. That's plenty. That's all you need. And you need, maybe a third or a quarter in the bottom and then some distilled water in there to fill it right to the top. And that should be fine for what you're doing.
And I have another question now that I have these CO2 GANs. Is there any way to combat exhaustion with this?
Not exhaustion, pain. If you got anything that hurts, if your hands hurt or your elbow or whatever, just put it on there.
Just rub the GANs on it?
No. Just
the container.
Set the container on whatever hurts.
Oh, okay.
You can also, once you get those into larger jars with distilled water, just pour the GANs into a jar, rinse the little vial out, and fill the jar up full of distilled water, give it a shake, let it settle, and then you take the water off. You don't have to actually access the GANs anymore.
Right.
And same effect. You just put it on a paper towel in a baggie and put it on what hurts.
Right. You told me about that. Okay. So how do I get like, is there anything else I can do with it besides pain? Because I'm
well, it's a
deprived and exhausted right now, and I was wondering if there's any way.
Well, it will make a difference. Just having it in your room. It's going to take a little while for the plasma to build up in your room, but just having it in your room, your appetite's going to drop. You'll have more energy. You'll sleep better.
Okay.
Because it's you're infusing everything with that energy of plasma, and the CO2 does act on the emotions, especially that stuff, because that stuff I know has quite a bit of zinc oxide in it. So it's going to interface with your emotions really, really well, and it'll balance all that out. You'll find the highs won't be quite so crazy and the lows won't be quite so crazy. It'll just kind of everything will even out a little bit, and things will look a little bit brighter, and it makes a big difference. It's surprising how much of a difference it makes, actually.
Well, I noticed it arrived like around mail time, mid-morning, and I had it in my purse. And I don't know, there's been sort of like a sense of calm that I could describe.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we got rid of a bad weed at work today, but that alone would raise moods. But I just find like there's this sense of calm and no frustration.
Yep, that's the beginning.
Yeah, I noticed the difference immediately, almost like within 2 hours.
Yep, that's the beginning. And the if you keep it with you, you carry that with you. You'll have a little bubble of calm around you, and it'll affect people as you walk by them.
Like plasma Prozac.
Sort of.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to keep one of them on me. My question is, do I add water to this one?
Is it still sort of liquid?
Yeah, it's kind of like, a little bit. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Like thick cream?
Yeah, kind of like a thick cream. But most of it's stuck to the side, but there's a bit, like I'd say maybe 20% might be floating around in a little bit of water.
Yeah, as long as it's not dry, because I found once that stuff dries out, you never rehydrate it. It always stays dry. So yeah, you can add water to that and give it a good shake. Shouldn't be a problem with that at all.
Okay. So what would have happened? Would water have leaked out in this, or?
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what Pat's thinking from one minute to the next. So Because he told me he sent you all 3, and he sent you 3 of the same ones.
They got the 3 part right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to undertake this experiment, and I'll definitely be, taking pictures, and it won't be very scientific, but I'll definitely be recording the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's, not only with the plants, what you've got there, you've got the core basic energy for healing and for emotional issues.
Mm.
So you can make up, if your teeth hurt or your back hurts, you can make up a pain pad and lay on it. And or if you come back and your shoulders are sore, you can make up a pad and put it on your shoulders. And I cut myself with a hammer, taking some nails out yesterday, and I just grabbed my CO2 bottle and I put the bottle right on the cut. And in about 10 minutes, it doesn't hurt, and it's almost completely healed now.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's another thing I'm going to try it. John knows this, but I broke my back a few years ago. So, when it rains or if I'm doing just a bit too much of the wrong activity, it'll ache, like a broken bone. And, over the years, I've basically given myself, 1st-degree burns all over my back because I sit, sleep, lie on a heating pad as hot as I can get it. And so now I've developed this sort of, kind of looks like a henna stain all over the lower part of my back. So I'm going to make like a pain pad and lay on that and see what that does to the burn.
Yeah. And you'll find when you do get the benefit of the CO2, whatever you're fixing just doesn't come back.
Mm.
I mean, the cut on my hand, I can poke it. It doesn't, it feels like my hand. There's absolutely no pain whatsoever.
Wow.
They were saying that you shouldn't put the pain pad directly on your spine. You can put one on either side of the spine.
Yeah.
Or you can buy the pain belt from the Keshe Foundation, and you can put that right across your spine.
And why would you not put it on your spine?
It's really powerful, and it's going to just jam energy right into your central nervous system. It's something we can't recommend. It's probably not going to hurt you, but there will be people who are going to have really nasty results or really nasty effect from it. So it's not something we can recommend.
Okay.
GANs won't hurt you. Simple as that. Like you can, if you're worried about radiation, if you want to detox, take a half a cc of that CO2 water, squirt it into a glass of water, and drink it, and it'll flush radiation and many toxins right out of your system.
Now, would not overload the liver and everything like that?
Not, it hasn't so far. They
Not-
haven't seen any
according
issues.
to the lab rats, that seem to live happily ever after with that program. They tried to overload them.
This lab rat's been drinking it, and she's doing fine.
They overload them with, was it 5 milligrams per kilogram, I think it was.
No, it was 5 micrograms per kilogram, and the highest was 100 micrograms per kilogram, which for me, I'm just a smidge over 90 kilograms, so that's roughly a half of cc would be the low dose.
And you just make the water of it. You just take
just the water. Yeah. Oh, Corinne, your friend.
No, it was actually. What's happening here? Sorry. Oh, I think everyone come in. I have to click mute on entry, and okay, everything came open. I see. No, they actually gave 5 milligrams per kilogram, not micrograms, for the GANs test. According to the thing here, I'll show you the screenshot of that.
Okay. I thought it was all micrograms.
It's micrograms, 100 micrograms administered into their standard lab rodent diet. And
group 3, I see. Okay.
Group 3 was given 5 milligrams per kilogram all survived. No toxicity of CO2 GANs observed. So that was interesting.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in group 4 too, where it dealt with the infections, with the influenza infection. So
Right.
it eats viruses as well.
Yeah, seems to. That's good.
Very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of we're finding all sorts of different things. And I think Mr. Keshe announced on the workshop my Tuesday morning that the human trials in Japan are done, and we don't have to worry about asking, telling people, yeah, go ahead and drink this stuff. Just be gentle with it. The products, the commercial products are ready to come out. They should be released here very shortly. Very interesting stuff. How did you get muted, Rick? Oh, there he goes.
Hi. Well, that's good news. I was wondering if the 5 milligrams per kilogram, that would be a lab rat. Let's say it's a human that was 100 kilograms. That would be 500 milligrams. That'd be half a gram of the actual CO2 GANs ingested, and that would be roughly equivalent to a 220-pound human or something like that. So that's a larger person for half a gram. So maybe, quarter gram for a small person, half gram for a larger person. That might be one of the outer limits to be tested at the maximum at this point, sort of thing. Perhaps.
Yeah.
How much would half a gram? How much does a gram of CO2 GANs look like? It's pretty.
Well,
Are
I
we
know with
talking about?
water,
Are we talking
1
about
gram is
dried?
1 cc.
Are we talking about dried or wet, basically?
Well, with water, 1 gram is 1 cc. So we know the CO2
Okay.
GANs is heavier than water. So it'd be a little bit less than a half a cc, probably 0.4.
And being roughly the same weight as water, let's say. Mm-hmm.
So, which isn't very much. And that's just the water of it. That's not. Oh, wait a minute. No, they're actually giving them the CO2 GANs, right?
Yeah, that's what they say here.
Yeah. So if you're
So.
doing the water, you could probably triple that with reasonable safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like a tablespoon in an 8-ounce glass of water, and just pound it down.
Just pound it down.
I really
In
don't
your
believe it's
green
harmful.
smoothie. Say what?
I really don't believe the CO2 GANs itself is harmful.
No.
Um, I'll say that because I took your words from last week about your skin, and I've been working on my nose for 8 years now. So I said, okay, well, I'm jumping in, and I got some coconut oil, and I didn't measure. I put some um, pure guns on there and mixed it up in my hand and just put it on my nose. And I wish I'd well, I did take a before picture that would be through there. And it is feeling a lot better. I have
Mm-hmm.
not taken a since picture, but I can tell you that it's soothing, and the scab that forms is softer. It's not like crumbly and prone to fall.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath this lesion used to be a very deep ridge, and I was just using the waters of it, or the not like I don't even know for sure. This was just in a little tube I had that was from last year, and it was nice, and it was just a perfect consistency, and I thought, "Wow, I'm gonna try that." And, I'm alive, I'm well, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm 63 years old, so I'm feeling like we have to be careful, but those of us who are willing, like, I'm willing to be a human tester here, um, and I don't do the allopathic medical system at all, so I am my own doctor. So me and my doctor have agreed to just jump in and do as much of that research as possible. And I think your friend could be very safe in making CO2 pain patches right around, maybe not on her spine, but right near it. Because I had sciatic problems, and I put CO2 pain pad in the front and the back, and that's gone. It is totally gone.
Hmm.
No pain,
That's interesting.
no discomfort. Well, it's pretty amazing
Yeah,
stuff.
I've had sciatic problems, and that can be very, very painful and hard
Yeah.
to get rid of. Yeah,
Go to bed. I
interesting.
left mine on all night long. One
Hmm.
on the front, one on the back, and
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I myself, I actually did put a CO2 pad right square on my L2, L3 vertebrae because the problems I was having prior, and other than my legs tingled for about 2 days and they got really tired really fast, basically my back problems are gone. I can sit for hours and hours and not get a sore back anymore.
I think the problem comes in as far as pads go, where we're not sure if it's CO2 GANs, is it zinc oxide GANs, is there some copper oxide GANs mixed in, and so on, depending on the exact plates we have and how the GANs is made and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the stuff that Green
Standardization
has,
is
I
the
can pretty much guarantee it's about 80 to 85% zinc oxide and the rest is CO2.
like
I
it'd be
know how
nice
it
to have
works.
standardized preparations that we could offer to people like this. We know this is CO2 GANs, we know this is zinc oxide GANs, and so on and so forth.
Can we
Should
not
have
use
them in a
some sort
jar.
of a spectrometer for that, or those little new app now you can put the.
Possibly, they have a new app for the iPhone that you aim it at your drink and it tells you the exact alcohol content and whether there's any barbiturates or other date rape drugs in the glass.
But
and
it's a
so on.
spectrometer.
Yeah,
exactly
it's
a
right.
spectr-
It's
a
actually like
spectrometer.
a
It'll
mass
tell you anything
spectrometer.
you encounter. It'll tell you its
All the
composition.
elements. Yeah.
So maybe I don't know if anybody ever tried one of those on GANs itself.
Well, it's a new app. I don't think it's coming out until another few months. Actually,
Oh, it's not out yet. Oh, I
It's
thought
just
it was.
they made it look in the there's a YouTube video. It makes it
Yeah,
look
I've seen that.
girl sitting in a
We
bar
saw
or
it probably
something, and
together, yeah.
they make it look like it's all ready, but it's not quite ready for prime time yet.
Mr. Keshe mentioned, goodness, this must have been like the 56th or 58th workshop, somewhere in there, about the university testing. When he first sent the samples to the university for testing, they didn't know what they had, so they didn't know how to test it, and they did it wrong, and it came back that this is just nothing. And then he said, no, test it this way, but I can't remember what he told him to do. It was a very specialized testing. I'm gonna have to go back and dig. It'll be hours and hours of digging trying to find that 2 minutes he talked about it though.
I remember that, but I don't remember when that was. So I'll dig in my head too for a while. See if
I know there's X-ray diffraction testing and XRD and XRF. I think is the other one. But it's very difficult to do those kinds of tests because what they do when they test the GANs is number one, they dry it, and number two, they crush it. Then they take that small sample of that crushed mass and subject that to the X-ray diffraction under pressure of some kind of squeezing thing or something So it's basically all mush crushed and smushed, and then they expect to get some sort of significant results out of it, but there's no
we
more
can't go by
product.
color, huh?
It's no longer the product that it was at the beginning. It's a totally different substance by the time it's dried and crushed.
Yeah.
Suspect approach.
For our own eyes, can we go by color?
Suspect approach.
There is a difference in color between CO2 and zinc oxide, but it's really, really subtle. Texture is a better way to do it. If it's fluffy like clouds, that's where your CO2 is. If it's just kind of a mass like melted butter, then that's your copper oxide.
Copper oxide, you mean CO2?
Zinc oxide.
Yeah.
Zinc
Or
oxide.
zinc
Sorry.
oxide, rather.
What if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gray?
Well, someone mentioned that one was grayer than the other. I think the zinc oxide is a little more grayer. Is that right?
Quite possibly.
I know
I
zinc
have some of
oxide is
those
pretty
pictures I
white.
have questions about that have those colors in them. Can I show them now?
Sure, why
Is that
not?
okay?
Have to stop the share here.
Okay.
Yeah. Colors may not come up very good on the computer, but if there's a difference, we should be able to see a difference.
Well, that's this again, and this loves to float. This stuff loves to float. So that's without the thing, and that was yesterday. I think I took this picture.
Okay.
And but this is, oh yeah, you're right with the color. This is got a, oops, sorry, a
Oh.
grayish, and it loves to float. This stuff loves to float up.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the zinc oxide. I'm not sure if this is actually silver or if this was galvanized wire. From the looks of it, it's sweeter than galvanized wire, so I'm thinking it's also silver. But
Yeah, if you're galvanized, if it's galvanized, you're probably going to have some red in there, so it might come out pink, or you may have a red
no, this is
film at
more
the very
gray.
bottom.
I'll see if there's more. So you're gonna have to skip through some of these pictures, sorry. Unless I know how to do this. Ooh,
Little
sorry.
guy. Hi.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll go
They
through
are really cute.
Oh,
Nano
well, you know,
man.
I had so much fun making it for my grandson because I'm hoping to get him excited in this stuff. Okay. So, oh yeah, here, side by side. So this is pure silver wire, and it's creating this really sweet greenish oxide.
That's silver gans. That's the same color.
Woo! Good. I was hoping that's what I was making. Oh, and now you can see the gray more over here. The light must have been better. And see how fluffy it is?
Well, there's two different kinds in there. There's that film on the bottom, which is a different color than the fluffy little cloud.
Okay. I might have another picture right after it. I took a few.
A little more gray, perhaps, on the bottom.
Yeah, and there you see the gray too up here.
Yeah.
How gray it is compared to this
Hmm.
beautiful silver. So this is why, to me, playing with the test tubes is like, okay, so if I do this, but again, like you said, without a tester knowing what that is, I'm going with color. And then I do have this little thing I created that's a really funky color I'm not enjoying here. And that I put that iron in there because I figured, okay, let's see. I wanted to, and then I've thrown CuO in there. I've thrown everything because I figured the CuO is a decontaminant. I want to kind of make this not so dirty looking. And it's got a copper egg reactor. It's got all kinds of stuff in there. Maybe that's why it's too much stuff. Did you see how
Yeah,
dirty
you
it
got
looks?
so many interactions in there. I can't even begin to predict what's coming out of it.
Yeah.
But that nano coating looks really nice. Your outdoor nano coating, that's looking really good.
Oh, it is. It's amazing. I tell you, nature is our best friend. Um, yeah, so there's that crystal I took from the system. That's going to be the lead in here because before I had galvanized wire and I realized I didn't really want the CH3. I'm not sure why. I was shy of it, I guess. And so we had a snowfall yesterday. I was like, whoa, what's this about? Um, but these are all the different reactors I've made. I'm hoping that they are, and I feel like they are communicating. I keep adding parts to them, like there's a little thing here, so I'm trying to nano coat them yet again together. And here, Dave had mentioned making a Triskelion into a three kind of one on top of the, so you take the middle part and then you put the one part above and one part below. I might have another picture of that. And it nano coated fantastic in nature. And here I dropped a little bit of CuO water on some snow. I figured, okay, do your thing, see what you can do for me. I just love playing with nature. I figure she coats everything, so let
Yeah.
her coat what I'm doing. It's a long, slow process. I did one, oh, this was just a Himalayan rock lamp buy a glass ashtray that's black, and somehow it just drew the Himalayan salt to it. And
Wow.
anything I put in there becomes beautiful blue. See this beautiful?
Mhm.
Those are recent, so they
That's
haven't
interesting.
coated yet.
This
But
black ashtray, what kind of glass you mean? It was glass,
yeah,
black
it's kind
glass?
of glass. It's an ashtray my son got a long time ago from some blues bar. You can't even see that now. That thing is coated. So whenever I need some CuO, I just go in there, pick a little bit up, put it in some water, and add stuff to it, and eventually I get more. It's a slow process, but it works. So
All right.
Himalayan salt, people, to me that equals. Oh, so this baby I wanted to see how long nature without any accelerants would take to get dark, dark, dark. It took 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Yeah, I
was,
was going to say that the one you have, the first one you showed there hanging in the garden. I
yeah,
was
oh
just
yeah.
I was just going to make a joke and get Rick to see if he could calculate the field interactions.
I'll see if I can find that. Where was that hanging in the garden? Oh, in the snow. Yeah, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a lot.
Yeah,
This was my
definitely.
first one that
My
I made.
question was going to be whether the snow stuck to the nano coating or whether it would be warmer than the environment somehow or too slick for the snow to stick to it.
Nope, not no. Yeah, I've got pictures of everything, different things that have been covered in snow, and what it does do though, it concentrates whatever caustics are in the rain or the snow, because where they land, they leave a nice, after they stay there for a day or two, they leave a really beautiful dark stain. So, and then I think a cold caustic and hot caustic, and I figure that's what nature's doing to this stuff. She's just
Yeah. Most certainly.
doing her thing.
Ah, it's gorgeous.
I don't know if you want me to continue sharing. I have lots of pictures. I don't want to
Yeah.
stop
Well,
you.
does anyone else have anything that's burning that they want to share right now, or while we continue enjoying Libby's show here? Um,
But I don't want to take away. I just
well,
wanted to have.
I don't see. I haven't got my live stream up, so I'm not even sure what's going on. Let me have a look there and
Uh-oh.
see what's going on. I mean, I've got it up. I've got the live stream running. I don't have my monitor monitoring the
I'll go see what's in here.
live stream. So let me have a look and see if there's any questions or doubts in that avenue. Any questions or trolls that need to be kicked? I mean,
So that was using the Triskelion as this was when we were still into copper. And so I thought, well, if I coated one with CuO and one with CH3 and one with CO2, would that create like a little, so that's where I was going with this as a potential.
oh, there you go. That's an interesting concept. All one piece, but
Oh,
three different Ganses, eh?
yeah, just wondering if that would be efficacious or
Well, I think you should try that and feel it and see what happens.
I'm going to. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a lovely idea. I like it. It's like it's a Gans sandwich, but it's all one piece of bread.
Yeah. And that's another question I have. And I had this idea after last week's show. I thought, what about all this salt creep? Because I, like many of us, have projects that didn't get finished and it evaporated, and there's this salt
Yes,
creep. And
yes.
I thought I was making tooth powder, and it calls for a quarter of a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of sea salt. And I either used seawater or sea salt whenever I was making my ganses. And so I thought, and again, where the salt creep goes, it does take on the hue. So where it's on the nano coated copper, it becomes a blue. You have to look at it. It's got a blue hue to it. So I figure, okay, that's CuO, and the white must be white, and the orangey must be CH3. And so I took a quarter teaspoon of that sea salt, the CO2 sea salt, what I would call sea salt, because if it comes from what we were making the CO2 from, would it not have some part of it within the sea salt now? Is my feeling about it. So that's another guinea pig thing I'm doing. I'm not recommending this to anybody. I'm just saying I'm exploring that as a venue. And I've got to tell you that my teeth and my gums feel a lot better. And the recipe is kaolin clay, baking soda, and sea salt, and a couple of drops of peppermint oil. So it's a pretty safe mixture to put in my mouth anyways. But I did take a couple of grains of the CuO salt creep. You know what I mean when I say salt creep, everybody?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. And I'm exploring. Do you guys have any ideas about that, or should I? I'll keep you
Well,
posted if it's still alive.
and by salt creep, just to be clear, you mean the salt that creeps up the sides of the wire or sides of the container?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because on the copper coils, it becomes bluish.
Yes, it can, depending on the atmospheric conditions. Yes.
Yeah. And on the zinc, it's whitish. And on the iron, if there is any around, it's oranges.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured, well, it's sea salt and my recipe calls for sea salt, so okay. But again, this is just me exploring as a older woman ready to just play and discover whatever she can discover while she's still kicking.
Yeah, it probably is carrying some of the GANs up with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay.
Definitely makes sense.
Well, salt creep's an interesting concept that recently I've been thinking what's happening, and I see the same thing in crystal structures. Like if you use borax, for example, and create crystals, you get this creep happening where the crystal starts rising. It wants to go against gravity. And the same with the salt. It creeps up the sides of the container, and all of a sudden, you see it on the outsides of the container, whether it's sea salt or the caustic. It'll both do a similar thing. So I'm thinking, well, this crystallized stuff, this crystallized structures, it wants to levitate. It just wants to rise. It wants to go against gravity up in the same way that trees do. Trees, they're anti-gravity machines. They, over their life, they lift many tons vertically upward off the surface of the earth as if levitating in a way.
And it's
So,
so abundant. And I figure if we're getting so much of this is the universe telling us, I'm here, look at me, because it's so abundant. I mean, we have problems getting this, problems getting that, but boy, salt creep's not a problem. And Mark also, he was the inspiration last week. Is he on? Because he had salt creep all over the place. And I was like, wow, look at all that.
yeah, that's right. I
Uh,
remember that one.
yeah,
When the salt concentration goes up because of the fluid level going down, all of a
yeah.
sudden you've got a mad case of salt creep. So,
Who
yeah,
knows?
it's
We might be able to.
interesting.
That
But
might
that
be a new
salt
product.
still, it wants to keep rising, even as it's drying up totally. It still wants to keep rising up into the air. It's like
Yeah.
it's got its own built-in levitation system that we just have to tie into in a more effective way.
And while I have this picture on, I'll say that until I added this outer coil, these little mini whatever tiny coil, what do we call these? Double coils have one section has silver in it and one section has galvanized wire. And it wasn't doing anything, and it was outside for days and days and days. Then I took this outer one and put a galvanized coil on it, and that thing took off. The
The
I
the outer
guess
one, is that a galvanized? The outer one that you
um,
put on?
the inside of it is just a galvanized wire.
Okay.
The outside is copper coil.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
and when I did that, within a day, this had become gray down here. And then because it takes longer because it all goes down, right?
Mm.
But then now I think I've got more. Let's see. Oops, no, let's
What's interesting with the
look at
galvanized you put in
down in
there?
here. How that just went. Okay, we're singing now. That was combined with these two at certain points. There's two here, two there, one on opposite sides, two on the other side to the bottom. This is a vector equilibrium. And then there's triangles created between some here. And it just got coated like this. Really solid. And then this is after lots of rain and wind and sun and cold temperatures and warm temperatures. And this part happened after the first day with absolutely nothing. It was like having the galvanized wire or the outer coil. It might have been having the two coils finally together that it just took off. I was amazed by that.
Yeah, well, having that galvanized iron, I guess it would be inner wire, and
Yeah.
then you have the copper and nano-coated copper around that. That's an interesting. You almost have 4 different, or 5, or even 6 different elements between the oxides and the elements and so on there, and the interactions are more, but also the iron core is in a way kind of more gravitational because it's a magnet. It's magnetical, but it's a heavy magnet type. It's iron is what magnets are made out of, and it can be made magnetic, and it's very much a pulling into the center, but it creates its own magnetic field where copper doesn't do it that way. Copper has to create it through more electrical or other inductive interactions, whereas what am I trying to say? The iron is more magnetic, I should say. It has a magnetic component to it it's easily magnetized by coil current going through it or stroking it with a magnet and so on. So it's a different type of substance than having the copper wire as a core, which we normally have in the maggrav units.
Well, this was me trying to understand if I create the conditions for the GANs to be created by mixing, then wouldn't then it become its own reactors? This is me still trying to understand it.
Well, you're pretty close to the ocean too, so you've got a fairly high salt content in your air. So
I do.
you do have GANs collectors hanging in your garden, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it does look like the precipitate at the bottom of that coil is some sort of a GANs. I wouldn't know what it is, but it looks like, it doesn't look like an oxide. It's certainly not what we would see on copper normally.
Yeah.
And there is if you zoom out, you can see there's a little bit of a pattern there. You've got some at about 10 o'clock. You've got some a little on the other side. That pattern may be a function of your vector equilibrium, the field interactions. You get a node coming out at 10 o'clock. You've got a node coming out at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is nice and dark now. And I'm trying to see if I have any of those pictures. I was really pleased with how this worked out. I was like, okay, I'm discovering something, but whether it's, yeah.
It's all in the question of what if.
Yeah. And that's why we're explorers, right? What if I do this?
Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
organic-y looking, that's for sure.
Uh,
Like it could be easily convinced to be a life form.
Is that the same one now? Oh yeah, this is a later picture, I believe. Because you see these have gotten darker too. Up here.
Yep.
And I've been wanting now, because isn't it important to keep our central core a CuO?
Well, heavier. You want the heavier GANs in the center for sure.
So is CuO heavier than CH3?
Yeah, it would be. Then CH3. C is 12 and H is 1, so CH3 would be what, 15. And whereas the copper is, was it, is 50 some in itself?
Much heavier.
Hmm?
Much heavier.
Or the,
Yeah,
uh,
copper is definitely heavier than carbon. So
yeah, even the carbon dioxide, so you have carbon and 2 oxygens, which are 2 16s for 32, is more than the carbon CH3, carbon with 3 hydrogens, which is only 15, about half of that, less than half of that.
yeah.
This is now hanging in my living room, but it's very dark in here, and I've had a really nice experiences having naps. My cats sleep underneath it,
Yeah.
so it feels like it's my main reactor, shall I say, and it feels like it's connected to Jackie's feeding device. I ask it to
Yeah.
feed Jackie's feeding device with peace and love, and everything else with peace and love.
How do you hang it? How do you have it presented?
I have it hanging. Well, again, I could put lights on, but I don't think you'd see it. It's hanging from a ceiling hook or that has some chimes on it. Well, actually, you might. It was. I have a picture of something else. I was hanging. Oops, not there. Sorry. Ah,
Yes, we try not to show our desktop, but
yeah.
I will
Or that.
minimize the live stream picture in this
Oh,
case
so
for a moment.
sorry.
I know you know about it.
Here. It's hanging. Oh, there it is. This
Okay,
is it now.
let me get zoomed in here.
See how dark it is now, John?
Oh wow, looks good.
Yeah, it's
And I
gorgeous.
It's really
just
good,
added my
doesn't it?
buddy there for a picture, but so that's hanging in the living room, and you can't. So there's an infinity. Uh,
Uh-huh.
oh wait, no, I added it to yet another thing. That's me adding it to everything. Um, this is the darkness of the outer coil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was also wondering. I do notice that if you put things that are non-nano coated near things that are nano coated, you see this guy already got darker here.
Yeah, right. That's how the wiring in your house will become nano-coated and so on
Well,
as the
I
story
believe the
goes.
wiring in my house is already because I've had so much of this stuff around for so long.
And that's a good comparison, you know, like if you had a little guy just with his left arm touching the sculpture and not the right one, does that mean his left will definitely get nano-coated first? And how much faster would it be than the right side and so on? It's a good test with your little guy there. Like his left leg looks like it's getting coated faster because it's kind of embedded in the structure more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do want to send it to my grandson before that. So
Yeah, right.
anyway, we'll see. But this is, how much fun we can have when we play around with the Keshe technology. I just say play
Well,
whatever you're inspired to do.
yeah, that's right. We had fun yesterday just cranking out coils and, just sitting here and make a coil and measure it and get another one made and just you get into the drill of it, so to speak. And yeah, it becomes
Oh, very punny,
fun.
Rick. Very punny.
And these are all hand coiled on my side. I should learn how to do it with a drill. It would make it much easier. But there is
Oh, yeah.
so much joy in putting love when I'm stretching out the copper.
Mm-hmm.
First, if you get any bumps or anything out of it, just putting love into it,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes alive in your hands.
Each one that we pulled off our rod here, we
How
blessed
many?
and had, it was like a new offspring. Each one was like a little baby that you handle and gently lay onto the table and so on. Yes.
Yeah, they really are. Anyway, I thank you so much for letting me show my stuff.
Thank you, Libby, for being able to have some pictures for us to show here and love seeing your stuff. So thank you. I'm so glad you're excited about this and continue to work with it. And basically, you work with this on a daily basis for, probably an hour a day or up to 10 or 12 hours, probably in some days, I'm assuming. Is that more or less correct? Or
Yeah, they're my best friends. I keep getting encouraging, nurturing ideas.
right. So I was going to say you get inspired, and then you get on a train of thought, and away you go on certain ideas and so on.
Yeah, and mostly I get these ideas as I lay on the couch near this device or any of the devices.
Hmm.
And I love to take short naps. And while I'm falling asleep, it's as if the ideas of what I'm going to do next come up. And then I fall asleep and I come up and I wake up and I'm like, okay, now let's go do this.
Yeah.
I'm off and running, and it's really quite amazing.
Yeah.
That it looks like I have a lot of wire, and it does use a lot of wire, but I'm just finding things that I've been gifted with, or I was able to get or
Well,
find, and
that's a good point because at one point I remember I think it was you that was just saying how difficult it was to get started, not having the wire. Where do I find wire and that kind of thing. So where did you end up getting wire along your journey? I
my
wonder.
journey has been household wire, but it there's some household wire, and I think it may be treated because I noticed it took longer to nano coat. But you get 8 strands of 16 gauge wire at Rona. I think it's called Lowe's now. Lowe's bought it, but Rona, which is a home hardware store or a hardware store.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I find places that sell house wire, and but you can get I think it's 14 times 3.
14
What it's
3.
called,
Yeah.
John. But I find 14 hard to work with in my hands,
Oh, it
and
is. Yes,
16.
especially on the tighter coils, which you get work hardened even more, and they're
Yeah,
harder to unwind and so on.
yeah. So I like to play with 16. That seems to be my
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
of comfort, and that does come. I bought some 12 feet for $19.60, including taxes, and there were 8 wires in there,
Oh,
so
okay.
that gave me a lot to play with,
Yeah.
and that's. And then I asked people if I have been receiving donations, but I receive them through PayPal, so I have to get help getting them cash because I don't actually have a bank account. Um, but things are coming my way. People are seeing what I'm doing. I'm showing people who aren't involved with the cash what I'm doing, and they're getting excited. And so I'm teaching them to make test tubes to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun. I love what we're learning, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can somehow get registered for the classes in the new set. But again, with the way I live, it might be more difficult. But
Well, the price has dropped dramatically, so that is more useful for
yeah,
people can access now for €100 per year instead of 1,000. So that's a
and
big
if I can
difference.
find a sponsor, would that work?
Sure,
I
absolutely.
don't have a bank account, so and Keshe does foundation doesn't take PayPal anymore, and that's my
Right,
only.
you can work that out, sure, through the people involved because they're familiar with your name already. You've been around and shown your stuff, and they know you're have some enthusiasm and integrity in what you do and so on. So I don't think it'd be a problem at all.
I'm very excited by everything I'm learning. This is such a great group, and all of the knowledge seekers are so willing to share.
If you have any trouble getting registered or anything, let me know and I'll patch it up for you
Oh, thank you. Okay.
painlessly.
With a CO2 paint pad. Thank you.
Okay. What else we got to show here? Anything else on show and tell? Um,
Well, we got Alper just came in, and I'm kind of curious as to what's happening in India with Naramata, if she's getting any farther with her kids.
if she could give us an update, that would be good. I know Milena was talking about possibility of using like GANs pads inside of a bed sheet for healing purposes. And for these kids in the orphanages, that would be a great way for to allow them to have those effects without having to put something awkward inside their sort of crib bed area where they're kind of caged in a way and they have limited motion. You wouldn't want any kind of sharp object or any kind of bulky object or anything. And maybe it could be as part of a bedspread or part of the bedding itself, or maybe just a pad that goes underneath the bedding.
Well,
So,
if we take a clue from Libby's cats, just the nano-coated artwork hanging over where they're sleeping would make a difference.
nano-coated artwork.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What does that look like? What do you mean hanging over? You mean not
Well,
just a
remember
picture?
Libby was saying vector equilibrium. Once you put it in the house, it's just hanging.
Oh,
The cats hang around
that
it,
kind of thing.
and
Yeah, I gotcha. Sure. Um, again, as long as it's not within reach, you might say. Some of these kids are handicapped in various ways, so you have to be safe that way.
yeah.
But yeah, or built in.
Just a thought. I mean, I take a lot of clues from the animals because they're unbiased. They don't have any preconceptions or any of that stuff. They just react honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have something hanging in your house and your cats always want to sleep under it,
Mm-hmm.
well, why not hang that over your bed?
Mm-hmm. Probably a pretty
Right?
good indicator.
I have a funny observation. If you would like me to
Love to
tell
hear
you.
it. Sure. If you can, do you have anything as to show for a screen share or a picture? Otherwise, I'll put something else up.
It's an observation more than
Okay, let me
photos.
just pop up this one CO2 picture so we have something to
Okay.
look at here.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
go ahead.
Well, we moved in this house last spring, at the end of the spring. It's a very old house in the middle of the forest, and it was infested with ants.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally within the walls, and they had their colonies, and they're all over the place. And we've in my studio, we didn't buy any poison or anything. What I've done was last summer I put tons of food outside, right outside the walls, and some of them came in, some of them didn't, and it decreased the amount of infestation in the room, but it was really unbearable. But this year, since um, this spring, they're supposed to be all around the place, and there are no ants within the reach of the unit. Or in my studio, there are many nano-coated materials and GANs, of course, and unit is running here. I haven't noticed any ants or any other small bugs. The only thing I have, we get all sorts of creatures in the studio, especially massive spiders and everything. I want to notice one spider was sleeping under the nano-coated copper plate, and it didn't want to move. It just wanted to stay there. That's one aspect of it, and it gave me an idea to use a poison. So I bought poison, and I made a line around where they can enter, and I left the door open, and bugs entered inside, especially the big black one. It's still inside, walking around. They didn't get affected by the poison. So nothing has been done under sort of scientific laboratory observation. I haven't written anything. These are all, well, daily routine. It just happens somehow. But with the ants, all the rest of the house got ants. We have ants everywhere. But we have dog food, of course, around our dog's plate. There are ants there usually, normally, but not in the house. I was wondering if you have ever noticed anything like that with you. Is there a possibility?
The only thing I ever noticed was the bugs really liked my GANs collection systems, and within a couple of days, I had 30 bugs floating in the water.
Oh, that's something totally opposite to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in a higher altitude. I don't know if there is anything to do with that, but especially with the ants, yes, they are not coming in. What I could do is I can just place food all around the room, like I did last year in a place, and they come and eat it just from there. They don't just go anywhere else. I'm going to try that. That was that. And just before this, and you mentioned about the artwork hanging in the house, and I've done paintings using GANs. I put it in the living room, and just without telling everyone, like 4 or 5 of them. I use CO2. It is kind of visible. It's like a little layer where you can see it. It's interesting. People like it. As some sort of, it gravitates towards it. I mean, I put them on the ones that I really like, the paintings, but it has an effect on, a lovely effect on people, perhaps depending on the intentions. My intentions was that I wanted them to love it, and they loved it simply. But yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think anybody who's made CO2 GANs recognizes the difference of the energy that gets formed around it. It's not really palatable, but over time you notice things are different, and you have no explanation as to why, and it's actually quite wonderful.
Actually, I like the painting more than ever as I applied CO2. It was exciting. It was nice. But the end, I'd love to do more, but I don't know what I should be. I thought maybe I could just grab a couple of ants and just put it next to the, and then I thought, like, no, you can't really do that. You shouldn't do that.
There's some ants got fed the CO2 GANs and they took it away in their little anthill and used it for ant food, apparently. So that's one way to tell whether it gets accepted. You know, whether is it going to deter ants or they enjoy it and they propagate under it, or maybe they propagate but they decide to leave humans alone because they become more peaceful or something like that.
Yeah.
So
what's an emotionally balanced ant look like?
yeah, well, that's it.
Sure, why not? Maybe it was my intention that I didn't want them to come in.
Well,
And,
maybe it's the good
unit
news.
was the translator of that, and they're not
That's
coming
right.
at all.
The good news is the ants are very peaceful. The bad news is they're 1.5 feet long.
Ouch.
But fortunately, they stay out of the house, or at least wipe their feet before they come in. So, yeah, like who knows what could happen with CO2 GANs when it gets, actually. What can you do with an ant? You might revert it back to its roots, whatever that is. I'm not sure. Maybe it is a 1.5 foot ant, for all we know. or maybe that's what it would create, or maybe a tiny wee ant. I don't know. It's a bit debatable. But
Well, down in Peru, they're the size of your big toe, and they really hurt.
yeah, that's a good point, so to speak. Um, so what would happen to one of those with the CO2 gans added to their diet?
Well, that's
Do
an
they
interesting thing. I'll
do
get
they
Dave to test that. See what
turn
he can
into
come up with.
super ants that can withstand any, insecticide and any contamination and so on?
I've done one other experiment. I'm not really talking about them because I'm worried that it would be a negative effect and it would be a bad result and it would be kind of embarrassing. What I do is I have a little backyard here. I feed birds. I put regularly just on the soil, and what I've done was I've sprayed some CO2, just a very very little amount. Like I have spray bottles, and I just put them all around it. Not just one kind, all kinds of birds started coming, and I don't know what they're called. I'm going to learn them. Really kind of big ones, like pigeon kind of ones, and they're all rabbits, squirrels. They started coming, and even more and more. And I believe in the effect of I'm sure there is a property that it gives them effect, but the intention of it, what I think is sort of embedded in what I'm doing there, and the animal kingdom kind of senses it, and they coming more and more. That was another the reason I didn't tell. Maybe I would harm them, and yeah, bugs and birds, I love them because we have abundance of them all around us. Yeah, what do you think of that?
Sounds like you don't want to put CH3 in your hummingbird feeder. That's what that sounds like.
No, well, yes. I have a hummingbird feeder. I have a couple of hummingbirds that come regularly, and they fight over each other. And I'm going to try on that as well. I'm going to drop CO2, see how it goes. No CH3, no.
See if they don't fight anymore. Yeah, very interesting. But
Yeah.
that's something I would actually really expect when you start using the CO2 GANs out in nature, that nature will gravitate towards it, because it's a very calming, very peaceful type of energy, and I haven't found anybody yet that doesn't like to be around it.
That's so true. It's what I try to see is like what sort of animals are going to, because there are many of them here, and I want to see lots of birds, and I've seen a hawk waiting towards the rabbits and squirrels feeding of our soil, and I saw eagle, I saw many owls, and they are gravitated towards it. That's for sure. I mean, I know, I'm absolutely, definitely sure that CO2 works, but what I'm interested in, what other lovely ways is it going to work? Like especially bugs was. I'm going to try I haven't tried the CO2 on ants, but I will try it. So.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Yes.
Definitely opened up some doors and started me thinking about various different things that
Sure,
we
yes.
can find. Because especially like my friend Dave down in Peru, like I say, he's got ants down there that are the size of your thumb, and they're scary. Even the natives, the Quechuan bush people down there, they're afraid of them.
We
And if
have
we get them
red
to be
ants here.
peaceful, yeah, if we can, well, yeah, there's fire ants down in Texas. If we can get these nasty critters to be peaceful and act more like bees, which they're not gonna sting you unless you threaten them in some way. That would go a long way to making the bush a lot more pleasant place to be in.
Yeah. Well, I hope. I can't even. I mean, all the things that has been happening is mind blowing. In addition to the animal kingdom and bugs and birds, it's just like I haven't even figured out on the human yet what am I talking about with the bugs. But this is daily things that are happening, nothing calculated towards what I've explained there. It's just occurrences. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
I don't need a bear repellent. I got CO2.
But one other thing I have done interesting. I have had this bucket where I thought, okay, you have to just go out of the barriers and you need to experiment on it without worrying how much am I going to collect or what the conditions are going to be. And so I've used distilled water with salt, of course, and I mixed it and used brass plates and copper plates, and in the middle there was a very chunky zinc sort of a ship. I found it in the thrift store. It's like a boat part or something. It's pure zinc.
Okay.
I put it in the middle and I've used it, and it started producing CO2. And then I thought, all right, what are you waiting for? Like, play with it. So I instantly I added 18 volts on it, and it immediately started producing amino acid on top.
Cool.
Like instant, I've collected all of them, and the formation that I put my batteries, they were in a I don't know what you call it, parallel way. Well, I had this toy, so I dismantled that toy. I've used the compartment of where you put the batteries, but it wasn't that I supposed to put it so that production would give results. And there was like 18 volts on it, and it started producing immediately amino acid. And the batteries, there were many batteries in there, and they ran out in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I've done copper and zinc with a 19-volt computer power supply, and the output is phenomenal. I mean, you can watch it grow. It took about 15 minutes, and the thing was full. But that's mostly zinc oxide. There's very, very little CO2 in that. The voltage is just too high for that.
So I've added my previous CO2, sea CO2, ocean CO2 experiments, and I used the water where I have collected, which was washed, pure CO2 water, and I just literally poured onto it.
What do you mean CO2 water from the ocean? Is that what you're
CO2
saying?
from, yes,
Yeah,
CO2
there's
from
no
the
such
ocean.
thing. No such thing.
Pardon?
There's no such thing. You can't
Oh,
get pure CO2 from the ocean. Mr. Keshe explained in the last workshop that you would have to refine all of the elements of the world, of the universe, out of the water in order to get the pure CO2 cans out of
true.
seawater.
My explanation was poor. I'm sorry. So yeah, but that was the production. CO2 plus the other components.
Oh,
So I
plus the
had
other
that.
components in the salt water. You mean not using
Yes,
caustic in the seawater to get CO2 GANs.
that's right.
So, okay, some people call that the CO2 GANs. Got it. Okay, fine. Carry on. Sorry for the outburst there. Just trying to get clear because there's been a
Absolutely.
big confusion about that. Mr. Keshe kind of cleared it up last time. Go ahead.
Well, okay, I can explain that even more. So I thought I produced CO2 GANs from the seawater, which I have bought it from an aquarium shop, which was purified ocean water for the aquariums. So I mixed it with caustic, and it produced some CO2. So I washed it, cleaned it all out, and there was, I thought, CO2.
Wait a minute. You said you mixed it with caustic?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's, again, we get back to what I just said. That's not CO2 GANs. That is the GANs of seawater, which is GANs of every element in the universe, basically. Not of CO2. It's CO2, but it's also got every element in the universe mixed in with it. So you'd have to refine out all of those elements in order to get CO2 GANs out of the seawater GANs that's created with caustic.
Sure. What can we call that? Like,
you can call it whatever you like, but it's
Rainbow.
something that Mr. Keshe doesn't deal with and has nothing to do with, according to him last workshop.
I remember it precisely. Yes, for sure.
So this.
So
is
anyway, I poured that into it, that solution. Yeah.
Yeah, when people there's a way you can make it under a full moon, under the right pH conditions and some other conditions to create this so-called ormus substance and so on. But that's different than the just straight CO2 or straight seawater GANs that some people create by pouring caustic into seawater. Yes. And that creates this milky substance that looks like the CO2 GANs. But Mr. Keshe says it's a GANs of a mixture of many elements, and you don't really know what you have in there compared to making just straight CO2 GANs, which is more favorable toward our body components and so on.
Okay, yes, sure.
So just to clarify there. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I poured that mixture into the previous GANs production, where I was using the actual zinc and copper plates, and it started like having this some sort of activation inside it, and it started producing I'm not going to call CO2 anymore, white substances previously mixed with one with the, well, I produced green GANs instead of CO2. So I mixed it with that, and it turned into kind of bluish color. These are all just perhaps silly experiments, but it's quite enjoyable, really.
Yeah, we were
So
talking about that earlier.
that would have every elements, perhaps where the water was collected from. That's also important. Yeah.
Yep, there's times when you might want all elements of a certain area, a certain type of ocean, or certain kind of water. And other times you want to be more specific and target the health problem, perhaps with CO2 GANs or copper oxide and so on. In any case, we got to kind of wrap things up here so I can take a break before the online teaching coming up shortly here. So any last comments or anything before we wrap up for today?
Thank you so much, and listening me. I just wanted to share the end thing, but
Well, yeah, appreciate Copper. Really like to
thank
hear
you
the
so
things
much.
you're doing, and the fact that it's fun to do. You mentioned the key phrase there, which is
Sure, yes.
if you're, whatever it is, making coils or making GANs, and just I made some coils and plates and had them dipping in the caustic too long, and it turned the caustic blue, and I poured it into this jar today and filled up the jar, and I just went, wow, what a beautiful color of blue. It's just intense,
Amazing.
super blue, and I go, wow, this is really neat. I'm going to keep this. So I kept it in the jar, and I know I can make that into the nano form of copper by you can pour vinegar into the caustic, or you can pour
Yeah.
caustic into the vinegar solution, and you'll get a black powder out of it and so on that can be used for other experiments. So it's all good. So yeah, and the point being that it's fun. It's you learn things, and sometimes it actually amazes you to see something, turning and twisting inside the solution that you didn't expect was going to happen, and different colors
And
and
then
so on.
it suddenly happens.
Hmm. So
That's amazing. Thank
keep
you.
having fun. That's the main thing out there, and play safe, of course. Keep your safety glasses on. I almost poked my eye out yesterday but I had my
I
safety
actually
glasses on.
bought one symbolic one, and I wanted to take a selfie of it right next to the unit, but
Absolutely, yeah. That's a good way to do it. I highly recommend a full lab coat as well, because soon as you put the lab coat on, you feel like you're really in the lab, and it's just called a silly costume thing, but the clothes really make the human, and in this case, it makes a difference. So
And wear gloves with
yeah,
caustic.
do wear gloves. Caustic creeps up on you. Sometimes it just
Yeah.
feels like it barely burns, but it's actually seeping into the skin and bones and so on. So just keep in mind that's what the bad guys use to dissolve bodies in the movies. So you don't want to.
Just a trick.
Thank you
You
for the
don't
tip.
want to
Yeah.
dissolving your fingertips. Just a tip, yeah, so to speak. Okay, so enough bad puns for tonight. Let's wrap it up here. And I'm going to end the live stream.
Thank you so much, Rick. And
Thank you,
everyone there.
Libby. Thank you all for all the pictures and so on there. It's great seeing your